Hello and welcome to Brit Unleashed Tiny Travel Tips number 16. In this one, I'm going to show you the best way to get from Piccadilly Circus to Covent Garden, because I think that Covent Garden is one of the best places to go people watching in London. I was asked where is the best place to people watch, and although Piccadilly Circus is great too, I think Covent Garden is probably tops. So this is a Google Maps view of that area. So that was Piccadilly Circus, and now I'm just telling you where Covent Garden is. And I'm going to show you how to walk there. This is probably one of the most direct routes and a very scenic route. And don't be caught up in taking the tube. A lot of people will do that if they're not familiar with London. They'll think they need to catch the tube from Piccadilly Circus via Leicester Square to Covent Garden. Don't do that. It's much more interesting to walk. And it's only about a 12-minute walk, depending on how fast you walk and how much foot traffic there is. Count on there being quite a lot. This is a really busy area, but it's worth it if you get a chance to do it. So what I'm going to do is drop you in here and just show you where we're starting. And this is actually Piccadilly Circus, and that is the Statue of Eros, which you might be familiar with. And it is a great place to, another great place to people watch. Just sort of sit there, have a sandwich, you know, packet of crisps, and yeah, just watch people go by. So again, this is the satellite view of the area, and I'm going to drop you in one more time, show you exactly where we're going to start. We are going to start at that Statue of Eros, which I just showed you, and this is it from the other side. So that's it straight ahead of you, and just to give you a look around, that's Coventry Street that we're going to be walking down. And off to our right here is that curved street is Regent Street, which is one of my favorite streets in London. So if you get a chance to walk Regent Street, I recommend it. So here we are, we're going to walk down Coventry Street toward Leicester Square and toward Covent Garden. And the video jumps a little. I apologize for that. This is Google Street View, but there's nothing that I can do about it, so oh well. So here we are walking down Coventry Street, and we're going to cross Haymarket. But this is a statue. These are the horses of Helios. They're just a nice little landmark for you to look for. And as you get ready to cross Haymarket, it is one-way. Traffic unusually will be coming from your left as you're walking this direction. So look left. This is a one-way street. So we're going to walk straight across Haymarket, staying on Coventry Street. And I'm just going to zoom in here on the street signs as we go along so you can get an idea of what where we're going. So this is Coventry Street, as I said. And we're going to carry on straight down Coventry Street, heading generally east toward Covent Garden, toward Leicester Square first, which we're going to actually walk through, and then toward Covent Garden. So as we approach some of these junctions, I'm going to give you like a little look around so you can kind of get an idea of what you'll be looking for as you're walking. Obviously, there are about 10,475 routes you could potentially take to Covent Garden from Piccadilly Circus, but I particularly like this one. It's sort of the most direct, and the way I'm going to take you is kind of little small back streets, which I quite like. So what I'm zooming in on here is Swiss Court, and this is the actual you say that 3 times fast, Swiss Glockenspiel. So you'll know what you're looking for when you're in this area. And we're just going to go straight across the street and pick up in Swiss Court. As I said, it does kind of jump. So here we are, magically in Swiss Court. The video is a little bit blurred here. It does come back into focus, and I'll come back over to the left side again. But this is the Leicester Square area. We are actually in Swiss Court here. And if you get a craving for some M&Ms, knock yourself out. I'm not sure why M&M thinks it needs to store there, but whatever. So there's Swiss Court, proof on the street sign. And that treed area that you can see off to ahead and off to the right is actually Leicester Square, which is another great place to have a sandwich and sort of sit there and people watch. And that's actually one of my favorite things to do when I'm in London, is just to grab a sandwich and a packet of crisps, as I said, and a soda, and just find a great little park. You'll see a lot of Londoners doing that. A lot of Londoners, doesn't matter the weather, how cold it is or whatever, just sitting outside eating their sandwiches in their various parks. So we're actually walking through Leicester Square, again, in the direction of Covent Garden. Piccadilly Circus is behind us. And this is just showing you some of the sites. If you want fast food, you can get it. I don't eat fast food when I'm in London. If I wanted fast food, I would just get it here in America. I tend to eat in pubs because, well, pub food is good, and you can have beer, which is, again, one of my favorite things in London, beer. So we're on now Cranbourne Street walking. We haven't made any major turns, but all the street names change, which is one of the things I love about this city is it seems like every time in the central areas, every time you come up to an intersection or a junction, the street names change. That is Leicester Square Station, which we are not going to go into. As I said, don't get fooled into thinking you need to get on the tube to get from Piccadilly Circus to Covent Garden. So we're actually going to walk not past it, we're going to turn in front of it. This is Charing Cross Road, so we're going to cross Charing Cross Road and put Leicester Square Station on your left, and you're going to turn right and walk just, I don't know, 20 steps. And we're going to go down this little court. This is St. Martin's Court. You see it. I'm pointing at it in between the buildings there. And this is one of London's tiny little, it's not an alleyway, but it feels like old London to me. I mean, despite all the kind of garish stuff that's out there, you know, these little tightly packed streets. This feels like it's old London to me. So St. Martin's Court actually turns into New Row, N-E-W-R-O-W. And all I'm doing here is pointing out Mr. Fogg's Tavern as a landmark for you to be looking for as you cross the street. Like I said, the video does jump, and so what we're going to do is take a flying leap across the road, which I think is St. Martin's Lane. Anyway, so this is St. Martin's Court, and that's Mr. Fogg's Tavern. We have done a flying leap across the road magically, and we're on New Row now. And so we're just going to carry on New Row, just another great little scenic street heading again in the direction of Covent Garden. Oops. Yeah, you got to be careful. You hit anything and the Google Maps just goes nuts. So what I'm doing now is just turning around to show you back the way we came. That's back along New Row. And we're going to turn back heading east again. It takes as long to do this on Street View as it does to actually walk it. That's back along New Row again, and I'm going to zoom in on the sign to prove to you that this is in fact New Row. So this is Garrick Street on the left that we're going to go across, and I think it's Bedford Street on the right. So this is actually an intersection where all four streets change depending on which side of the intersection you're on, because now on this side of the street, even though we walk straight across, we're on King Street. So we came from New Row, crossed Garrick Street, or Bedford Street, depending on which side of the intersection you're on, and now we're on King Street, and we are almost at Covent Garden. So just going to walk down King Street. It's a lot of trucks, and I mean, it's a lot of lorries parked there, but it's not all that busy as far as traffic goes. And here we are, ta-da, et voila, Covent Garden, one of the best places in London to go people watching. And it's a terrific market, covered market, all sorts of shops. One of my favorite shops in London used to be here, Lush. I love Lush Cosmetics, but unfortunately it moved out of Covent Garden. Store closed in 2015. Kind of a bummer. But what I'm going to show you now is what I think is probably the best place in Covent Garden to people watch, and that's from the balcony of Punch and Judy, which is the pub where I had my very first beer ever in London. And I had a Newcastle Brown Ale sitting on that balcony of Punch and Judy watching the world walk by. And just on the other side is St. Paul's Church, which I've never been in, but if you go, feel free to tell me what it's like. So Covent Garden has this great market. Also in Covent Garden is the London Transport Museum, which I have to admit I haven't been to because every time I check to see how much it costs, it's like more than £20, and I'm like, oh, I'll get around to it someday. So that's on my list of things to do, is actually go to the London Transport Museum. So there we are. We've made it all the way on foot from Piccadilly Circus to Covent Garden. And I hope you enjoy people watching. Don't forget to grab a couple of sandwiches along the way. Talk to you later. Bye.